Heartwarming discovery. Young girl helps elderly man, revealing his hidden life-changing fortune. In the small town of Maplewood, whispers of an old veteran haunted the neighborhood. Mr. Hargrove, the mysterious man with a grumpy face and sharp words that made the bravest of souls shiver. Most people crossed the street to avoid him, but not Lucy. At just 10 years old, she saw beneath those weathered layers. Lucy was bright, a spark of sunshine in the quaint little town where she helped her single mother run a struggling bookstore filled with dreams and stories. One sunny afternoon, while delivering groceries to a neighbor, she accidentally bumped into Mr. Hargrove. The heavy bag slipped from her hands, cascading onto the grass. Quick as a flash, he appeared, his scowl deepening as he muttered, "Watch where you're going, girl." But instead of scuttling away, Lucy's curiosity ignited. "I'm Lucy," she chirped, brushing herself off. "What's your name?" To her surprise, he huffed, "Does it matter?" But Lucy was undeterred by his sharpness. Day after day, she made excuses to visit him, bringing homemade cookies or the latest book to read aloud. Each visit chipped away at his icy demeanor. Slowly, Lucy learned about Mr. Hargrove's life, a tale woven with courage, sacrifice, and shadows of regret that seemed to cling to him like a second skin. "Did you know," she asked one day, her voice earnest, "that kindness is a treasure? You can find it in the most unexpected places." He did scowl, but deep down a flicker of warmth sparked in his chest. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then came Lucy's fateful day of discovery. While exploring his dusty attic, she stumbled upon a rusty briefcase. Curiosity prickled her fingers as she pulled it from the cobwebs. Inside lay a bundle of letters, each one filled with longing and apologies to a family he had pushed away. Alongside them was a cache of money and unexpected fortune hidden under layers of neglect. Torn between excitement and dread, Lucy faced a moral conundrum. Should she bring the briefcase to Mr. Hargrove? Would it be the key to unlocking his heart, or just another blow to the pride he clung to? Day after day, Mr. Hargrove wrestled with the idea of reconnecting with his past, the weight of his burdens heavier than any soldier's pack. As Lucy watched, the town's whispers grew louder. "He doesn't deserve happiness," they would say, their eyes narrowing. But Lucy saw a man yearning for redemption. The stage was set, the promise of reconciliation tinged with trepidation. On a breathless morning, with the briefcase tucked safely beneath her arm, Lucy stood at Mr. Hargrove's doorstep. She could hear his hesitant movements inside, and then a quiet knock echoed, sending shivers down her spine. It was a knock that could change everything, a chance for connection, or just a reminder of all that could have been. Both Lucy and Mr. Hargrove paused, a shared breath of anticipation hanging in the air, visions of hope flickering in their hearts. Would they find courage in the face of vulnerability? Time stood still as they prepared to open the door to their intertwined fates. Lucy's heart raced as she stood before that aging door, the briefcase feeling heavier than ever in her small hands. She took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face, as if the world outside was urging her to take this leap. With trembling fingers, she raised her hand and knocked again firmly, determined. Inside, footsteps shuffled closer. The door creaked open, revealing Mr. Hargrove's tired, sunken eyes. His expression shifted from annoyance to surprise, then softened just a fraction. "What do you want, Lucy?" he asked, tension rippling through his voice. "I found something," she blurted out, the words spilling from her lips like an overflowing river. I think it could help you, Mr. Hargrove." She held out the briefcase, her own trembling hands betraying the importance of the moment that he stared at the case, his brows furrowing, and for a heartbeat, she thought he might refuse it. "I don't want anything from you, girl," he muttered, but Lucy pressed on, looking straight into his eyes. "But you don't understand. It's not just about the money. It's about the letters." Her voice danced between excitement and anxiety. "You left these behind. Maybe it's time to face the people you care about." His expression shifted again, shadows crossing his face. You have no idea what you're talking about, Lucy cut him off, her voice rising with urgency. But I do. You wrote those letters. You felt something, and you still do. You can't pretend it doesn't matter. Silence hung in the air, thick and heavy. Mr. Hargrove's features tightened as he looked away, and for a painful moment, Lucy feared she had gone too far. Would he slam the door in her face? Would he dismiss her again? Then, almost as if a dam had burst within him, he took a shaky breath and whispered, "Can you come in?" Lucy's heart soared. She stepped inside, the musty scent of the attic mingling with the crisp air of the morning. Mr. Hargrove shuffled to a nearby chair, his shoulders dropping, revealing a man who seemed weary of fighting the world. She placed the briefcase on the table and hesitated before saying, "You need to read those letters. They are part of you." He nodded slowly, his gaze shifting from her to the briefcase. Lucy watched as his fingers brushed over the old metal latch, a storm of emotions dancing in his eyes: fear, sadness, hope. With a deep, trembling sigh, he opened it. The ancient letters lay inside, yellowed and fragile, like secrets begging to be uncovered. He pulled one out, unfolding it carefully, revealing a handwritten apology that cracked the wall he had built around his heart. Tears glistened in the corners of Lucy's eyes as she saw the walls of bitterness and regret begin to crumble, piece by piece. "Lucy," he started, his voice breaking, "I don't know if I can face them. I don't know if they'll forgive me. Maybe it's not about forgiveness, Mr. Hargrove. Maybe it's about making things right," she suggested quietly. The glimmer of possibility shone brighter in the dim room. In that moment, they both felt the pull of a new beginning, a thread weaving them together, each feeling a flicker of hope igniting. But just as Mr. Hargrove glanced back at the letter, a loud commotion erupted outside. Voices filled the air, gathering at the edge of his yard, bringing with them the townsfolk, the skeptics, the curious. Lucy's heart sank. "Mr. Hargrove, they're here." As the doorbell rang insistently, a wave of panic rushed through him. Would he face them? Or would he retreat into the shadows once more? Taking a deep breath, Lucy reached for his hand. "You can do this. I'm right here." What would happen next could change everything for both of them. If only they dared to step out into the light. Would he take her hand and face the world together? The door was still open, the choice lingered in the air, and seconds ticked by like a lifetime. The air shifted, thick with anticipation. Lucy could feel Mr. Hargrove's hand tremble in hers, but she held on tight, offering warmth and encouragement. The voices outside buzzed louder, and she could hear snippets of conversation. Curiosity, concern, and a dash of judgment floated in through the old screen door. "I can't," he finally muttered, his eyes darting away. "I can't go out there." "But what if they're here for you?" Lucy pressed gently. "What if they want to know you? Really know you?" His gaze flickered back to the letter in his hand, the ink barely legible against the paper sh. "What if they don't want to hear what I have to say? What if I've lost them forever?" "No one gets lost forever, Mr. Hargrove. The letters are a bridge," she said, squeezing his hand. "You have to take the first step. You have the chance to show who you really are. Not the man they think you've become, but the one who wrote those letters. The one who cares." He looked down at their joined hands, a battle of emotions playing across his features. For years, he had shut himself away, hiding from memories that haunted him. But now, standing at the edge of that old wooden threshold, he could either cling to his past or forge a new path. The doorbell chimed again, and this time, a voice called out, "Mr. Hargrove, we're worried about you." With a deep breath, Mr. Hargrove raised his chin and wiped the moisture from his eyes. He hadn't been addressed like that in years. The truth was, he had missed the connection, the laughter, the warmth, the simple joy of being part of a community. But the weight of regret felt like chains binding his heart. The cacophony outside softened momentarily, a lull of uncertainty holding its breath. Lucy let go of his hand just slightly, but remained close, ready to support whatever decision he made. "Lucy," he started, his voice small yet filled with a hint of resolve. "I need time. I haven't faced this in so long." "Take as much time as you need," she urged. "I'll be right here. You don't have to do it alone." His nod was barely perceptible, but it was enough. For the first time in a long while, he felt that perhaps he didn't need to bear his burdens alone. As he opened the door a crack, A wave of familiar faces surged forward, some hopeful, others bearing the weight of worry. They moved closer, their expressions a mix of surprise and confusion at seeing him standing there, the letters still clutched in his hand. "Mr. Hargrove," one neighbor exclaimed, genuine relief spilling into her tone. "We've missed you." He hesitated, longing for the connection that had once been so easy before hurt and shame clouded his heart. He had hidden long enough, but the fear was still pervasive. Can I really do this? Can I really face them? He wondered, glancing at Lucy, who stood behind him like a guardian angel, her encouragement lighting the dimness of his uncertainty. The unease in the crowd thickened, but Lucy sensed it, transforming curiosity, shifting toward something deeper. The townsfolk were ready to welcome him back, but would he muster the courage to embrace it? As he stepped fully into the light, he felt an overwhelming sense of vulnerability crashing over him. But with every shared glance, every hopeful beckon, he sensed the possibility of acceptance. He was not just confronting the past. He was looking toward the future, a future that could no longer be dictated by the mistakes of yesterday. "Lucy," he started, choking back emotion. "Thank you for this. What's next?" she asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. He swallowed hard, the weight of the letters solidifying his resolve. "Next is showing them who I really am." But just as he took a bold step into a new beginning, Lucy could see a shadow lurking at the back of the crowd. A familiar face she hadn't expected to see, one that could change everything again. Would it be a chance for healing, or would it open old wounds? Mr. Hargrove's heart raced as his gaze locked onto the shadow lurking at the edge of the crowd. It was Diane, a figure from his past he had long hoped never to see again. Her presence was an echo of better days, a reminder of laughter, but it was also a haunting shadow that held the weight of unresolved pain. Lucy noticed the shift in his demeanor. "Mr. Hargrove?" she whispered, concern etching her features. "Are you okay?" He took a deep, shaky breath, the air heavy with tension. Recognizing the battle within him, Lucy squeezed his arm reassuringly. "Remember, you don't have to do this alone." As the crowd whispered among themselves, Diane stepped closer. Her expression was a jumble of emotions: concern, curiosity, and an underlying tension that mirrored his own. "I heard you were home, Jim," she said softly, hesitant but clearly hoping for connection, that he could hardly breathe. The sound of his old name sent ripples through his very core. Jim. It had been years since he let himself relax into that name. Lost amid the weight of change, he had buried it under layers of shame. I wasn't he sure you'd come," he managed, the words stumbling over each other. "I thought you wanted nothing to do with me." Her gaze softened. "I never wanted that. You didn't let us in. None of us knew what happened until you stopped writing." Mr. Hargrove's heart twisted painfully. The letters, his only lifeline to the past, had been a bridge he burned when harboring guilt and sorrow. "I've been lost," he admitted, the truth tasting bitter on his tongue. "I didn't know how to come back. I thought it was too late." Diane's eyes filled with compassion. "It's never too late, Jim. We all missed you. The community missed a part of itself. We need each other, don't you see?" A wave of emotion surged within him, mingling with dread and hope. He stole a glance at Lucy. She emitted warmth, the light in her eyes reassuring him that it was safe to feel, safe to embrace this moment. "Perhaps," he started, his voice gaining strength, "perhaps I can still reconnect. If you're willing." Diane nodded, the delicate smile on her lips dissolving the years of regret. "You'll always have a place with us. Come on, let us talk." Before he could lose his nerve, Mr. Hargrove turned to the crowd, uncertainty wrinkling his brow. He raised his voice, shaky yet resolute. "I'm sorry for disappearing. I've missed you all, my friends, my neighbors. It's time I faced the past." The murmurs turned to whispers of encouragement, and he felt threads of connection binding him back to the life he thought he lost. The warmth expanded in his chest, scattering the chains of regret that had weighed him down for so long. Still, just as he felt hope ignite within, Lucy caught his eye, her expression shifting to alarm. A chill swept through the air as the crowd parted, revealing a figure emerging from the shadows, a tall man with a stern expression, one that felt too familiar. "Jim," he said, voice cutting like ice. "We need to talk. Now." The room felt like it spun, and Mr. Hargrove's heart raced once more. Who was this man to bring chaos back into the unfolding reconciliation? What secrets from his past remained wrapped in layers of fear and uncertainty? Mr. Hargrove's stomach dropped as he met the piercing gaze of the figure before him. The man looming so close sent a chill coursing through his veins. He recognized him instantly, Daniel, his distant relative. He could almost feel the weight of unresolved family ties pressing down on him. Now, he managed to say, though his voice came out barely above a whisper. He knew this wasn't a conversation he wanted to have, especially in front of so many people. Yet Daniel didn't seem to care. The urgency in his tone felt like a storm cloud casting a shadow over his fragile moment of reconnection. I need you outside. There are things we need to discuss, Daniel insisted, his jaw clenched. It was not a request, but an order, and Mr. Hargrove felt his heart sink further. Diane's expression shifted to one of concern. Jim, you don't have to. Whatever this is, I have to, he interrupted, the decision coming out more forcefully than intended. It wasn't entirely untrue. The swirling past he had tried to escape could no longer be ignored. Lucy's hand tightened around his arm, her voice just a whisper. Are you sure? You don't owe him anything. A crack of heat rose in his chest. I know, but it's family. He found himself half praying that stepping into this awkward confrontation wouldn't unravel this moment of hope, that as he walked toward Daniel, he could feel eyes boring into him. Each step felt like a weight added to his shoulders, and bruised memories swirled around him like ghosts. Let us talk out here, Daniel said once they moved to the edge of the gathering. The crisp evening air felt sharp against his skin, contrasting the warmth that had just enveloped him moments ago. Why now, Daniel? Why after all these years? Daniel exhaled, as if holding back frustration. Because I had no choice. There are family affairs you've ignored, debt, responsibilities. Things that still connect you to your past and demand resolution. Mr. Hargrove closed his eyes, frustration bubbling to the surface. I left that part of my life behind. I can't just step back into it. I thought what? That it would go away? Daniel shot back, his tone harsh but laced with urgency. You're still entangled in it. You may have tried to erase it, but it never truly left. His head spun. The last thing he wanted was to be reminded of his shortcomings, his failures. But something deeper tugged at him, a nagging voice whispering that he couldn't turn away anymore. I came back here to heal, he admitted quietly, glancing back toward the gathering. To face my past. But I'd prefer to do that on my own terms. Daniel studied him, something flickering in his eyes, sympathy, maybe? You're not alone anymore, Jim. You don't have to carry this burden by yourself. People care about you, whether you want to believe it or not. Mr. Hargrove drew a sharp breath, feeling vulnerable and exposed. This was a painful truth he had spent years trying to ignore. He began, but the words caught in his throat. Fear and hesitation tangled together, but he could feel the warmth of a community just beyond the porch, the faces of those who were willing to help if only he would let them in. Suddenly, the crowd murmured again, pulling both men from their heavy exchange. Lucy was stepping forward, her expression filled with resolve. Whatever this issue is, it doesn't have to define you. Let us in, Jim. Please. Deep down, he felt a flicker of something bright, a spark amidst the years of darkness. Could he truly let them in? Before he could answer, a loud crash echoed from the street, drawing everyone's attention. They turned to see smoke rising from a nearby building, the sound of chaos erupting, drowning out their conversation. Jim, Daniel's voice was urgent. We don't have time for this now. We need to move. As adrenaline surged through him, reality hit hard. In this moment of crisis, could they face more than just the flames? The urgency settled like an anchor in his gut. Would he find the strength to face everything that awaited him, or would he retreat yet again? The air was thick with the smell of smoke and confusion. Mr. Hargrove looked at Daniel, whose face was twisted with determination. This was not the moment he had envisioned for their family reckoning. Yet here it was, an urgent invitation to step up. Let us go, Daniel shouted, and Mr. Hargrove felt the tug of duty drawing him toward the chaos. He hadn't come back to be a hero, yet fate had other plans. They broke into a run, sprinting toward the source of the commotion. The crowd that had once seemed like a source of comfort now scattered like startled birds. People were shouting, some rushing toward the flames, others pulling each other away from the danger. Mr. Hargrove's heart pounded in his chest, a war drum beating a rhythm of anxiety. Help! Someone yelled. A woman stood frozen in front of her burning house, her hands clasped over her mouth. Panic etched across her face, the reality of her loss hanging in the air like the acrid smoke. "Lucy, get her out of here," he yelled back over his shoulder, instinctively seeking Lucy's steady presence. She had always been his anchor. He barely looked back, but felt her determination weave through the chaos as she pulled the woman towards safety. "Jim," Daniel shouted, ripping him from his distracted thoughts. "Here, we can help." He spotted a group of men pulling a small child from the debris at the edge of the gathering crowd. The child was scared but unhurt. A flicker of hope ignited in Mr. Hargrove's chest. Moving forward with a newfound urgency, they reached the group just in time. The little girl's eyes widened when she spotted Mr. Hargrove. "Mister, you gotta help my puppy." "Your puppy?" he asked, momentarily forgetting all else. The simple innocence of her request snatched at his heart. If only it were easy enough to save a puppy. "Yes," she cried, pointing at the blazing building. "Yes, in there." His instincts surged. If he had remnants of the man he used to be, he couldn't walk away. "Where is it?" he shouted back, scanning the building. Adrenaline pumped through him as he looked for a way in. "I don't know," she sobbed, and with that, a deeper instinct kicked in. There was more than just flames around him now. There was a chance to reclaim a part of himself he thought was lost forever. "Keep her close," Daniel shouted to the other men who had circled around them, but Mr. Hargrove barely heard him. He took a step toward the flames, each one igniting memories of the family he had left behind, memories of his own childhood finds, of secrets hidden away. "Jim, no." But there was no stopping him. A spark ignited in his chest, pushing him forward against the heat radiating from the fire. He could feel every muscle screaming at him to turn back, yet he pushed on, a bizarre mix of duty and family shackling him to the task ahead. The roar of the fire enveloped him as he slipped through an opening, the warmth becoming suffocating. Gritting his teeth, he called out, "Puppy." His voice was nearly swallowed by the sound of cracking wood and relentless flames. As he moved deeper inside, the heat intensified. Memories unfolded in whispers around him, voices he hadn't heard in years, but now they urged him on, pushing him toward clarity. What had he been running from? The fear of returning had paralyzed him, yet here he was, charging ahead for something larger than himself. Suddenly, he spotted movement near the shadows flickering against the wall. It was a small, frightened pup, trembling and caught in the chaos of the flames. "Gotcha!" he shouted, lunging forward and grabbing the little creature, just as a beam fell dangerously close. With the puppy clutched tightly in his arms, he turned back toward the exit as the flames flared high. Hope surged through him, mixing with terror. He was almost there. Just as he burst through the doorframe, another screech erupted from above, and debris began to rain down. "Jim," Daniel's voice echoed, panic drawing tight in the air. Would he make it out, or was this chance at redemption slipping through his fingers? The world around Mr. Hargrove became a whirlwind of noise and heat as he barreled forward, the puppy nestled close to his chest. Every step was a gasp, every breath an effort to stave off the thick, acrid smoke clawing at his throat. Instinct tugged him toward safety, but doubt flickered in the recesses of his mind. Would he be able to make it out? "Jim, move." Daniel's shout reverberated like an urgent siren. His heart raced as adrenaline coursed through him. He dodged a beam that crashed down to his left, narrowly escaping its wrath. "I'm coming," he managed to shout, taking quick inventory of the flames licking at his heels. With the puppy cradled tight in his arms, Mr. Hargrove dashed through the doorway, emerging into the chaos outside. The crowd surged forward, helping to pull him free as he stumbled, gasping for air. "Is it okay?" the little girl cried, her eyes huge with worry as he dropped to one knee, cradling the shivering puppy. "She's fine," he said, his voice hoarse but steady. He held the small creature up to her. The puppy twitched its nose, a hopeful sigh escaping its lips. The girl shrieked with joy, her small hands reaching out, trembling with relief. "You saved her." As he placed the puppy in her arms, a wave of warmth washed over him. In that moment, the smoke and chaos around him faded. The joy on the girl's face felt like a balm on his soul, stirring something deep within, something he had almost forgotten. This was who he used to be, someone who reached out to help. "Jim." His moment of victory was shattered by Daniel's urgent tone slicing through a horde of chaotic voices. Mr. Hargrove turned to see him running toward him, a fierce look of determination etched on his face. "Are you all right?" Daniel asked. He scanned Mr. Hargrove's expression, gauging the depth of his resolve. Mr. Hargrove started, but the urgency of the moment clawed at him. "I got her." He nodded toward the girl, who was now beaming and hugging the puppy close. "Good. But where's Lucy?" Daniel's voice crackled with worry. The realization ripped through Mr. Hargrove like a bolt of lightning. Where was she? His heart clenched as he turned back to the inferno, the warmth replaced by an icy grip of fear. "She was helping that woman, then we need to go back," Daniel urged. But as he looked into his son's eyes, Mr. Hargrove felt a surge of conflicting emotions wash over him. What if they both went back? What if they didn't come out? Without a word, Mr. Hargrove pushed through the crowd, determination fueling him. The fire still roared, casting a hellish glow over the surrounding area. Each step felt heavier, a weight on his conscience. "We can't leave her," he said, unsteadily moving toward the billowing smoke. Daniel grabbed his arm. "Dad, wait. It's too dangerous." But Mr. Hargrove was resolute. He had stepped back into this life for a reason. He had reclaimed a part of himself, but could he do it again? Panic lingered in Daniel's eyes. Yet Mr. Hargrove saw something else there, a flicker of understanding, a shared legacy of bravery. As they stood at the edge of danger, together, everything hinged on what lay beyond the flames. The call of family echoed louder than the roar of destruction. Would they leave behind the past, or save their own futures together? They dashed back toward the flames, hearts racing, searching for a way to secure their redemption. But the heat wrapped around them, thickening the air, pressing down with urgency. "Lucy!" they shouted as they ventured deeper into the unknown. The smoke thickened around Mr. Hargrove and Daniel, swirling like a living creature. They pushed forward, driven by a familiar desperation that clawed at their insides. A few steps into the darkened hallway, the roar of the fire felt closer, the heat pressing down harder. "Dad, are you sure about this?" Daniel wheezed, pulling his shirt over his mouth to shield himself from the smoke. Fear glimmered in his eyes, but it was overshadowed by a fierce determination. "I can't leave her. She's in there, I know it." Mr. Hargrove's voice was steadier than he felt. The memories of Lucy's bright smile flashed through his mind, and the relentless pulse of hope surged within him. They made their way along a corridor, the walls peeling and crackling with heat. Just ahead, through the haze, a flicker of movement caught Mr. Hargrove's eye. A figure, crouched low, frantically searching for something. "Lucy!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. Nothing. The response was replaced by the fire's hungry growl. "Over here," Daniel called out, waving his arm. Desperate to keep his father motivated, he pushed further into the smoldering haze. Then there she was, Lucy, dark hair matted with sweat and soot, her eyes wide with gaze, a picture of fierce protection as she knelt beside a trapped woman. "Jim!" Her voice was filled with urgency. "Lucy!" he cried, his heart soaring at the sight. Relief hit him hard like a wave, but it was quickly swallowed by the reality of the moment. "I can't get her out. Her leg is pinned." Lucy choked, panic mingling with smoke. "It's okay. We'll figure it out," he urged, crouching down beside her. The air felt thick, sweltering. They needed to act quickly. "Maybe we can lift the beam?" Daniel suggested, his brow furrowing in concentration. But doing that meant they all had to push through the burning heat, the terrifying nature of the flames hungry for everything in their path. "Yes. On three," Mr. Hargrove shouted, readying himself. He caught Lucy's eye. They shared a moment of understanding, of strength. 1, 2, 3. They heaved with all their might, straining against the weight of the beam, sweat mingling with ash on their skin. The fire crackled around them, the heat like a furnace, but they called upon every ounce of strength they had. The beam shifted, just enough. "Got it. Pull her out," Daniel yelled, his face growing red from exertion. With a desperate tug, they drew the woman free. She was shaky, her breaths coming in sharp gasps. Thank you," the woman stammered, her eyes darting between them, gratitude and disbelief etched in her features. "Focus on getting her out," Lucy urged, his determination a fine thread holding them together. They fought through the thick, choking smoke toward the exit, breaths rapid, heartbeats echoing with fear and triumph. There was no time for doubt. This moment was theirs, a renewed purpose, a chance to save. But when they finally burst through the door into the cool night air, it was only for a moment of relief. The chaos was still rampant. They had made it out, yet the haunting reality of the fire lingered in the distance. Is everyone out? Mr. Hargrove panted, scanning the growing crowd beyond the gate. The flames danced hungrily behind them, flickering as if grasping for the lives they had escaped. I think so, Lucy replied quietly, her hands trembling, desperately grasping his. The fear faded into something else, a bond solidified in those moments that a siren wailed in the distance, closer now. They had fought and survived, but would there be more to confront? Did anyone else make it? Daniel's voice broke through the loudness. Fear darted back into Mr. Hargrove's heart. Every whisper echoed louder than the last, as if in answer. A sudden crash behind them sent a shiver down his spine. What lay ahead, hope or heartache? They turned back toward the flames, breathless, waiting for the next revelation to unfold. The blast of heat behind them was like a living entity, snapping at their heels. Mr. Hargrove glanced at Daniel, whose eyes were wide with worry, and Lucy, whose hands gripped his tightly, her pulse racing beneath his fingers. Each second felt stretched, a thin thread that threatened to unravel at any moment. Stay close, he warned, shifting into protective mode. He could feel the weight of responsibility resting heavily on his shoulders. They had saved one life, would there be others? The shadows danced at the edges of his vision, teasing him with uncertainty. Look, there. Daniel pointed urgently toward the side of the building, where a thin stream of smoke curled upward. The sound of muffled cries struggled to break through the crackle of flames, an ominous reminder that their work might not be done. Mr. Hargrove swallowed hard, uncertainty gnawing at the edges of his resolve. Let's check it out, Mr. Hargrove said. He felt a twinge of hesitation, the instinct to flee battling with the urge to help. Keep low. He ducked and led the way, his heart thumping against his ribcage with every cautious step. They rounded the corner, and the sight before them sent a chill down his spine. A crowd had gathered, faces etched with worry and fear, watching the fire rage with a mixture of urgency and hopelessness. Among them stood an elderly man, his gaze fixed on the building, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. Please, my wife is still inside, he cried, his voice breaking. Sir. Mr. Hargrove stepped forward. You're sure she is in there? The man nodded, shaking so violently it seemed he might collapse. She went back for the dog. I can't lose them both. Daniel tightened his grip on his father's arm, his voice a soft echo of desperation. We can't let him go in there alone. Mr. Hargrove felt a surge of anger and sorrow collide within him. They had come this far, had defied the flames for the sake of strangers. It wasn't just about Lucy anymore. It was about helping everyone they could. All right, he said, meeting the man's pained eyes. We're going back in, but you need to stay right here. No arguing. Without waiting for a response, he turned, taking a deep breath while Daniel and Lucy exchanged determined glances. We'll find her, he reassured his son, but uncertainty tainted his resolve. Let us move, he called, rallying them. They plunged back into the swirling smoke, hearts pounding, the acrid air biting at their lungs. Every step felt like a leap into the unknown, where danger lurked, but they couldn't turn back now. The heat grew more intense, waves of it crashing against them. Daniel grabbed Lucy's hand, and as they shuffled forward, they spotted another figure, small and frail, huddled near the ground. I can't take it, a voice shouted, a young girl with wide eyes, petrified with fear. Please, we're here to help, Mr. Hargrove cried out. The flames crackled angrily behind them, a reminder of the urgency. Can you tell us where your owner is? Suddenly, the world felt like it was closing in, a blend of smoke and flames engulfed. Lucy looked back toward the exit, and he saw panic in her eyes. Not far, just in the other room. The girl shouted back, hope flickering to life within her voice, but they had little time. Let us go, Mr. Hargrove barked, a mix of determination and dread pushing him past the girl. They were racing against the clock now, and he realized that this was more than just about bravery. It was about hope, about giving the lost something to hold on to. As they pressed deeper into the heart of the fire, the heat wrapped around them like a shroud. Will they find her in time to save her? The answer loomed ahead in the flickering flames, casting shadows on their uncertain fate. With each step, Mr. Hargrove felt the engulfing heat of the fire licking at his heels. The cries of the elderly man and the little girl ignited a fierce urgency within him. He had crossed into this world of flames not just to save a dog, but to prove to himself that he was still capable of caring, still capable of connection. "Stay close," he shouted, Daniel and Lucy behind him, their determination palpable. The walls seemed to pulse with the fury of the flames, but there was no backing down now. They could make it through this if they worked together. "I can smell smoke," Lucy shouted, pointing toward a door to their left. Without a moment of hesitation, Mr. Hargrove moved toward it. Each breath felt like a challenge, but they huddled together, the bond burgeoning between them like fire itself. "Let us go," he shouted, pushing through the door, desperate to find the trapped woman. "Anyone in here?" In the dim light, they could barely make out the silhouettes of fallen furniture and piles of debris. The air thickened, the essence of smoke wrapping around them like a nightmarish cloak. Then they heard a whimper. A small dog peeked out from under the wreckage, tail wagging in fear. "There," Daniel pointed. "Get it to safety," Mr. Hargrove cried, urgency threading through his voice as he approached cautiously, realizing they needed to split up if they were going to save anyone at all. "I'll get the dog," Lucy said, her eyes bright, full of bravery. "You guys find the woman." And just like that, they were off. Lucy slid effortlessly under a beam, her heart racing, while Mr. Hargrove and Daniel maneuvered past singed pieces of furniture, squinting through smoke and flickering lights. "Where are you?" Mr. Hargrove called, his words a call to hope echoing through the chaos. The volume surged, crackles and pops resounding like ominous laughter, but he pressed on. Then a muffled voice emerged from behind a large sofa. "Please, help. Hold on," Daniel shouted, adrenaline pumping, and together they shifted the bulky piece aside. There she was, an elderly woman, trapped but awake, her face reflecting both fear and surprise as she gazed up at them. "I thought I was done for," she whispered, and Mr. Hargrove felt his heart stretch to accommodate the weight of her pain. "No, not today," he said, his own fear shielded beneath layers of urgency and protective instinct. "We're getting you out of here." He and Daniel gripped her arms, pulling her gently but firmly, encouraging her strength in those first, critical moments of escape. "Head down," he urged, and they made their steady progress toward the door, smoke swirling around them like a sinister dance partner. They emerged back into the relative safety of the outside, the fresh air a sweet relief cutting through the haze. The crowd had thickened, people shouting encouragement, their eyes wide with anticipation of what would happen next. As they placed her gently on the ground, the elderly man's face lit up with emotion. "My Mary, thank you." Tears streamed down the warmth of his cheeks, and the joy hung thick in the air, weaving into the fabric of those tense moments. But where was Lucy? Panic pulled at Mr. Hargrove's insides as he scanned the crowd. The distant barking of the little dog pierced through, and for a moment, hope kindled within him. "Lucy," he shouted, fear breaking the surface like a dam. "Right here." Her voice floated back to him, and for a moment, his heart lightened. She emerged from the smoky haze, carrying the dog like a prize, its small frame nestled securely in her arms. "I got him. Thank goodness," Mr. Hargrove roared, embracing her tightly. "You were amazing." "I was scared," she admitted, her voice shaky but proud. "You faced it head on," he replied, marveling at the courage radiating from her. "We all did." The crowd erupted into cheers as more sirens approached, the first responders securing the area and ushering the community into safe hands. This was a new beginning for Mr. Hargrove, healing in every smile, each spark of connection knitting them all closer again. The embers of fear dissipated in the presence of newfound hope. Mr. Hargrove turned to the elderly couple, who were now holding one another, surrounded by warmth and protection. "Today, we faced our past and fought for each other," he declared, energy pulsing through him. "And together, we can face whatever comes next." Daniel squeezed his shoulder, sharing a moment of understanding. "You're back, Dad," he said, a foundation of acceptance uniting them with a simple but powerful truth. "We're here, and that is enough," Lucy added, eyes shimmering with determination. With a joy that felt electric, laughter erupted among those gathered, a beautiful celebration of survival wrapped in the promise of connection. And within the heart of chaos and flames, There lay the strength of community, an unbreakable tether that would hold them all together amidst the uncertainties that lie ahead. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the town, Mr. Hargrove realized that he had found his purpose again. A family old and new. The magic of healing and forgiveness stepping forth with every heart that held on to love. Now is the time for you to make a difference. Don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. If this story touched you, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below how you felt about the amazing transformation within this story. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming journey. You need to show your support now. Join the family that believes in hope, courage, and connection.